Hello again, it's Germaine from Bead Spider, and today I'm really pleased to bring you this video, which is a gorgeous brocade bracelet. It's a design by the lovely Helena Chemnikova, and it's a series of hexagons that are joined together and then a great toggle clasp at the end. We have these 4 colorways made for you as kits on our website, and you can order from anywhere in the world. We do ship to all over the world. So I hope you enjoy making this. It's lots of fun and it's surprisingly very easy. I've brought together the bits and pieces that you'll need before you begin. So we've got in the tools, we've got scissors. I've got 2 pairs of chain nose pliers, but you could use a bent nose as well. I've got a toggle clasp and some jump rings, some Spider-Lon thread and a beading needle. The beads are all Preciosa. These are a size 10 transparent rainbow purple. These are a candy bead. They're a 2-hole bead. You see, you have the bead on one side, and then, the hole on one side and then the hole on the other. These ones are a fantastic, they're really vibrant purple, but they've also got a bronze coating to them. And these are a Preciosa Twin bead. They're also a purple glass with a bronze coat, and they also have 2 holes. This bracelet is made using a series of these hexagons. So I'll begin now to show you how to make one hexagon, and then it's just a simple matter of repeating. So we'll begin with, I've cut a meter of thread and I've put a beading needle on one end, and I'm going to pick up 6 of the twin beads just off from one hole. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and I'm going to bring them down to the end of my thread. I'm going to leave a small tail of about 4 inches, 10 centimeters, and then I'm going to go back through all of the beads again to create a little circle. And then if I put it down on the mat, you'll see when I pull them up, get the tail through, I've now got them into a nice little circle. I'm going to tie these 2 ends together. So I'm going to do that by just doing a double knot, which cross your threads and take your tail through the middle, and then do that a second time. That will secure these beads very firmly in place. There we go. And then you can see I've got a double knot there, and then if I just pull it up, there we go, nice and firmly, that gives me my circle of 6 twin beads. Now I'm going to move this thread with the needle away from the knot. So I'll just continue along through 2 more beads. 1, 2, and you see I'm using just the bottom hole. The top hole is free. And there we go. And then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to do a little knot between the beads by pulling the thread up. I'll get that tail out. It's a bit long. I'll just shorten it. There we go. So see, I've gone under the thread, I've made a loop, and then I can just go back through the loop with my needle, and then if I pull the thread up, you'll see it will create a knot between those 2 beads. Now I've secured that center quite well. I'm coming out of the bottom hole. I'm going to now come up through the top hole, and you'll see I was coming in this direction. I'm now going to be going in the opposite direction, and I'm ready to begin my second row. Notice I'm holding the tail thread. It's giving me something of a purchase to hang on to things. So the first thing I'll do, I'll just pick up one of the candy beads. Now if you notice from the candy beads, one side is domed and one side is flat. So you've got a domed side and a flat side. I have to pick it up always in the same direction. So I'm going to pick this up here on one side, and I'll bring it down, and it's going to sit, sorry, lost hold here. I'm going to sit between my beads, and I want the dome to be up. So I'll just hold that in place so you can see the dome. It doesn't matter whether you work with it flat or with the flat side or the dome side, but you have to have it always the same. So I'm going to put the dome up and the threads on this side. I'll pick up 3 of the twin beads, 1, 2, 3, and then I'll take the needle down through the second hole of the candy bead, and then through the top hole of the following twin bead. And then I'll pull that up, and what I'll get, there we go, you can see the 3 of these sit on the top and my beads sitting between these 2 twins. Now I'm going to do that again. Now again, I need to make sure that I have the dome up, so I'm picking up the bead on the right hand side and positioning it so that I know it's sitting with the dome up between the 2 beads. Pick up 3 twin beads, down the second hole and through the top hole of the next twin bead. So it's a nice easy pattern, this. Okay, now I'm going to continue with that all the way around until I've added in 6 of my candy beads, making sure again I pick up the hole so that the dome is sitting upwards. My thread is on this side. I can pick up my 3 twin beads and go down the other side. So I'll just continue around and do that with all 6 beads. I'm just about to put in my last candy bead. I've threaded on the candy. It's sitting between the 2 twins. This is the first twin where I started. I've got the 3 twin beads on the line. I'm going down through here, through the first twin, and then I'm going to pull it all up and make sure that it's all sitting nice and firmly and that all of my candies have got the dome upward before I continue. Then I'm going to take my needle up through the candy bead off to the side there. So I'm going through this first hole of the candy, and that'll bring my thread up to ready to begin my next row. Now I'm going to come through firstly these 3 twin beads, the bottom hole of these 3 twins, and that's got me in position to continue. Okay, again, make sure it's nice and firm and it's pulled up, although as you carry on you can firm it up more. I'm going to pick up 3 of my size 10 seed beads, and I'm going to jump across to go through the bottom hole of these 3 twins. 1, 2, 3. Now don't worry if it's a little loose at this point, because we're going to firm it up in a moment. Again, 3 seeds, and then jump across from the bottom of this twin to the bottom of these twins. 1, 2, 3. And again the next one. Now at the moment, as I said, my tension is a little loose, but that's fine, because once I begin to pull this up, it's going to make my little hexagon dome. So I'm not too worried about it at the moment. So I'll just go round all the way, putting 3 beads between each of these. And I'm just giving it a little pull as I go, just slowly getting the tension, bringing it up a little tighter and a little tighter. There we go, I'm on the last one now. Now the key to this little component working very nicely is that I'm going to now take my needle around all the way again, and as I do that, it's going to firm things up, and this is a really important step, because by doing this it's going to firm it up and it's going to make this center pop up a little, which gives it its lovely domed effect. So I'm just going through all the beads. And all the beads, just make sure I didn't miss any. You see how that's starting to dome nicely now, and I'm getting a nice firm finish. The funny thing is, when I do this, I can never remember where I started, so I usually end up going around a couple of times in the end. Okay, that'll do. This will be the last one. Okay. All right. Now I'm going to stop. Actually, I'll just go through these last few and I'll show you. I'll just go through the first bead on this one, the first twin bead. See, look how nicely this is domed. Okay. So you can see now I've got a really lovely cup shape here. Okay. Now I've just gone through the first twin, and I'm going to now jump from the bottom hole to the top hole. There we go. Now I'm going in the opposite direction. If you want to, you can turn it around or turn it over, because I find it much easier to keep a nice firm tension. Again, 3 seed beads through the first twin, 1 seed bead through the second twin, 1 seed bead through the third, and then back. And see, notice I'm pulling it as I go. 3 seeds through the top, and see, I'm doing that all the way around. It's giving me my second row. 1 seed through the second, 1 seed through the third. So I'm going to continue with that all the way around until I've gone all the way around with my second row. Now I've got all of my second row in place, and I've stopped. I'll just come through the last twin, and I'll go through these 3 seeds here. 1, 2, 3. Oops, not the twin, just the 3 seeds. 1, 2, and 3. There we go. So I'm coming out of the third seed bead, and I've gone around about halfway just to firm up halfway, but then when I finish I'll continue around. I'm going to put, because this is the first one, I'm going to put a little shank here for my to attach my clasp. So I'm just going to pick up 5 seed beads, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then I'll just go back through these 3 seeds again, and that will give me a nice little shank. And I'm going to go through it all again, and you can even go through it a couple of times if you can, to make it nice and firm. And then back through these 3 and pull it up. And as I said, you can even go through a third time if you want, but for the video I'll just continue on now, and then I'm just going to continue around, firming up, and I'm going to tie off this thread. now, and I'll just carry on around, and I'm just going to make a couple of little overhand knots as I go. So you just go under the thread, make a loop, go through the thread, that loop, and then see I'm pulling it up between the beads and pulling, and you see the knot even buries inside the bead, which is great. So then you can just carry on again, going through the beads and making a few knots as you go. Get in there, 1, 2, 3. I'll do another knot. You can do this however many times as you like. I tend to do it just a couple of times. See, make sure though when you pull it up it's between the beads so that you don't have a problem. Now, there we go. So now that's our component. Now with the rest of them, when you make them, make sure you just don't cut your thread. You don't need to do this. You only need to do this on the first and the last one. And then now I'm going to show you how to put them together. So once I've done a couple more knots, I'll bring this down. You want to, obviously I'm going to attach it on this side. So I'll go ahead and I'll make 5 or 6 of these depending on the length of the bracelet, and then I'll show you how to put them together. I'm just putting a needle onto my the thread that I started with, my tail thread. I'm just going to put a needle on to the tail thread, and then I'll show you how to tie that off as well. It's quite easy, and I tend to do it as I go because I hate leaving all the tail threads to the end and then having to do a whole pile of them. So I'm just going to go through the next center bead of the twin, the center circle, and I'll do a little knot between the beads again, just like I always do, through the hole and pull it up, and I'll do that again, and then I can trim it off. So literally all I'm doing is I'm firming up that center circle and just making sure that my threads are tied off nice and firmly so that they're not going to come apart. There we go. Now I pull it quite well so that the knot is inside the bead. You can go through one more bead and trim it if you like, but I tend just to trim it. Oops. There we go. So that's the center done. I've got my loop on this end for my clasp, which I'll show you how to attach that in a moment, and I'm in position now to attach this to the next hexagon. Now I've made quite a few of these. I've made 5 in fact, and this is my 6th one, and you can see the join point is here, and I'm just going to show you how to do that. I've got my circle or my hexagon, and you can see here's a twin. There's the 3 beads. It's directly opposite the clasp section, and I'm coming out of the seed bead before the twin, before these 3 beads, and I'm going to line it up with this same seed bead on the opposite side. And how I'll do that is I will pick up one seed. I will then go through the adjacent seed bead on another hexagon, so you can see where that is. There's the twin, and there's the first seed bead after the twin, and then when I pull it up, this little seed bead will connect them with a nice little right angle weave. Then I'll pick up another seed bead, and I'll go back through this same original seed bead that I was coming out of, but on the other side. And when I pull it up, I'm going to get that, and I need to go around again the whole way, and I'll bring it up a bit closer. So I usually tend to hold it And don't worry if it's a bit loose to start with, because you'll get to pull it up in a moment as you go. Back through that same seed bead on the other side. Pull it up through the one at the side. Pull it up. So now I'm going to go through the last seed bead, which is the first one that I started with, and then you can try and go around again if you like, but now I'm going to continue across the beads, and I want to come out of the first seed bead after this next twin. So I'll just continue along until I come out of this first seed bead again after the twin bead. There we are. And I'm going to attach it to, again, the first seed bead after the twin. And in exactly the same way, I'll pick up a seed bead. I'll go through the seed bead. I'll pick up another seed bead. I'll go back through this first seed bead again. There's my little right angle weave, and then I'll go through all the beads again. 1, 2, 3, and I'm pulling it up as I go to make sure it's nice and firm. Oh, don't lose your thread. For now, what I'm going to do again is carry on around the side of this last hexagon, and I will make a few knots as I go. So I'll do one here, under here, and carry on around, and then just knot and tie off this thread, and then I shall come and show you how to attach the clasp. So I'll just tie this off. There we go. Through here, make another knot, and carry on, and then I'll trim off this thread and just go through these two, and then you just come in if you hold your thread tight, you can come in with your scissors nice and close and snip it off. Okay, so now I'm going to attach the thread to this end, the clasp to this end. I've already attached a clasp on this end, and I'll just show you how I've done it here. So I'm going to need my jump rings and my clasp. Now I've given you, it's good to have extra jump rings, because what you can actually do with them is you can join them together to make a longer size bracelet if you want to. So you can start with, you need your pliers, start with one. How you open it up is literally, now you can either just do it with your fingers like that, or I'll just get the second one, or you can hold them dead straight. See, I've got them in a dead straight line, and then I can open forward and back and forward and back. So I'm opening this up, and I'll just show you. If I wanted to extend my chain, I'm just going to put another one on the link, and then when I close this, and again you can do it with your pliers. Now you've got two ways of closing it. You can close a jump ring so that it's sit flush like that. In this, and you see that it's all joined up as a loop. You've got a circle. But what I like to do when I'm making it, especially for a clasp, is I do a sneaky little trick, and I will hold the ring on one side, and then I'll hold it on the other, and then I'm going to actually bring them together, just makes a nice split ring. Now you can see that looks a bit of a mess so far, but then if I just come in here with my pliers and give it a little tap, and bring it in nice and close together, here we go, and then give it a little squeeze, a squeeze, a squeeze. You see I've made myself a nice split ring. And the nice thing is your clasp won't come off that. So I don't know if you can see, but you can see they're joined together there and they're overlapped. And so it's much more secure and it doesn't come undone. So that's what I'm going to do here. And so, as I said, you can always increase the length here, but I'm just going to use one. So I've got one jump ring open. Thread it through my loop of 5 beads. I'll thread on the other side of my clasp, which is this. I'm going to bring it shut like so, and then I'm going to, again as I showed you before, bring this plier down here away, pick up this one here, and then push them together so that they overlap. And then you can just, as I did before, squeeze, 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 squeeze. And look, I've got a lovely, neat and tidy double ring here that's going to make this clasp very secure. And that is how you do your clasp. Well, I hope you liked our video showing you how to make these gorgeous bracelets. If you did, please subscribe because there's lots more on our channel for you to see.